So you think this goes all the way up to the top to President Obama?
Absolutely.
We have newly unsealed documents that prove that corrupt agents from Jim Comey's FBI were discussing strategies on how to set General Flynn up on what we call a perjury trap.
He was targeted by the Obama administration, and he was targeted in order to try and take down a president. And what they've done is a disgrace, and I hope a big price is going to be paid.
These agents specifically schemed and planned with each other how to not tip him off that he was even the person being investigated.
I sent them. Something I probably wouldn't have done or maybe gotten away with in a more organized investigation.
Anytime the FBI writes down on a piece of paper asking whether their motive in interviewing someone, if their end goal is to, quote, get someone to lie.
They deliberately did not tell him about 1001 because they didn't want to trigger the slightest suspicion in his mind.
We placed a call to Flynn, said, hey, we're sending a couple guys over. Hope you'll talk to them. He said, sure.
So they kept him relaxed and unguarded deliberately as part of their effort to set him up and frame him.
And then they entrapped him on a completely bogus perjury charge. When he resisted, they threatened to hurt his son until he signed a confession.
Get as much information as you can, get as much intelligence as you can before President Obama leaves the administration.
Obamagate. It's been going on for a long time. It's been going on from before I even got elected.
The Trump folks, if they found out how we knew what we knew about the Trump staff's dealing with Russians, that they would try to compromise those sources and methods.
What some Obama officials were saying publicly was much different than what they were saying privately. James Clapper was out there saying that he had evidence that this was worse than Watergate.
That Watergate pales, really, in my view, as compared to what we're confronting now. There was no such wiretap activity.
If there was a FISA court order on something like this.
Something like this, absolutely.
And at this point, you can't confirm or deny whether that exists?
I can deny it.
A few weeks later, he was saying privately, I never saw any direct empirical evidence that the Trump campaign or someone in it was plotting or conspiring with Russia. Samantha Power said, I am not in possession of anything. I am not in possession and didn't read or absorb any information that came out of the intelligence community suggesting collusion. Ambassador Rice, I don't recall intelligence or evidence to that effect. Former Attorney General Loretta Lynch, I can't say that if it existed or not. I don't recall that being briefed up to me. Why then did we have many years of investigating collusion that these Obama administration officials never existed, they never saw any evidence of, but for 3 years the American people were dragged through the mud and told that their choice for the President of the United States might have been a Russian asset.
It's so disappointing to look at what we're seeing from right-wing media these days, where there's such an obsession with the deep state and these revelations about the Russia probe and the decision about Michael Flynn. They're treating the Michael Flynn story like it's a bigger deal than the deaths of 2,000 Americans a day.
Mike Flynn's lawyers have been engaged in a smear campaign, very, very similar, torn out of the same playbook as the smear campaign Donald Trump ran against many of the same FBI leaders.
The fix is in. This is an absolute injustice. We've seen the political corruption of the justice system that Mike Flynn has long been calling for.
This is a political and incredibly destructive thing to the rule of law. The idea that the Justice Department could do this, you called it stunning. It's past stunning. This is the collapse of the Justice Department.
We gave a lot of these people enormous power, especially after September 11th, to investigate, to look for terrorists, to protect the American people. But they abused that power. They did. They were, who knows who they were listening into.
And I don't believe any of this could have happened without President Obama. I completely believe that not only did he know, and others have already said that he knew about the conversation, he knew about trying to go after General Flynn, and that it was being directed from the White House.
And what did they know and when did they know it? Whether that's Susan Rice or FBI Director Comey or Vice President Biden or even President Obama.
So you think this goes all the way up to the top to President Obama?
Absolutely.